as long as I inspire at least a single person, that'll be my life's mission. A lot of internal meditations as well, about who I am, what am I representing.
Welcome back to the OSE Podcast. This is episode 3 of season 4. My name is Dallas Wabbington, and for today's topic, we're just going to cover making your mark, stepping up through organizations on campus. So I'll go ahead and introduce my guest. We'll let him introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Dallas. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me here. It's really, I'm very grateful for this opportunity. For everyone watching this, my name is Dharani Dhar Avula. I am a junior. I'm a biology major and a chemistry minor. I'm a pre-med. And right now I am the Chief of Staff for the Student Government Association.
All right, so go ahead and get into it. So you already mentioned a little bit about yourself, but going into, a bit about yourself, you told us your classification, your major, but what exactly does your role do in SGA?
My role is a very interesting one, especially due to the current circumstances that we're going through. We had change in leadership recently, so we're going through that as well. Before I even came to this position, I was the senator for College of Science. In 2024 to 2025 was the Dozier-Watkins term for this student government. And after that, I was reelected into my position, and I was promoted to the Secretary of Senate. For College of Science and the entirety of Senate for the Sanchez Duguretti term. And after being with them for a long time and having good connections and networking, et cetera, their chief of staff had to resign due to her personal reasons, her having taken care of her personal life, and they had to find somebody, and I was one of the first people that they chose. So once I took that role, I have been extremely busy, and chief of staff is, I will say that the role itself it's a full-time job disguised as a part-time job. That's the easiest way I can put it. There have been many days where I have been in the office in the union for over 10:30, 11. I've been in the office, emails, correspondence, et cetera, et cetera. It's been extremely busy. But that is usually the start of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg.
I'm sure. I mean, especially being biology major, chemistry minor, pre-med, on top of being the chief of staff for SGA. And, UNT has over 40,000 students, so you represent for a good chunk of them. How do you manage to balance all of that?
I had to go through a lot of setting boundary procedure that I had to, it was a lot in the beginning, and I honestly enjoyed it. I'm a workaholic. I like working towards things. You said, I'm a pre-med, and I'm also, in SGA. I'm also part of many other things. I'm working on my own thesis right now.
Okay.
In neuroscience. Along with that, I'm also I'm one of the exec members of another organization as well. So, I have a lot of things going on. I work not only at the SGA, I'm also a phlebotomist at the UNT's clinic. I work there.
There's so much to do.
I'm also a volunteer. So look at that.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And as a student, and especially as an international student, I'm not from the States. Many people don't tell that because I have a good accent, but I just came here, in 2023?
Okay,
I'm
so
very new. Yes, fairly new. So I had to learn my way through my way through having a life here. And one of the main things I had to work on was having a good management of time.
Yes.
I had to put up boundaries. This is work time. This is study time. And this is something else, personal life, or, your personal growth is also very important to you. You can't just neglect all that. So there's a lot to deal with.
I can only imagine what your calendar looks like.
Yep. And SGA takes up a huge chunk of it. And I don't blame them. We are representing a large quantity of the students, and that's very important for us. And I take pride when I say that I do not have any regrets as I'm in this position.
What motivated you to want to continue and get a higher position in SGA?
The previous president of the SGA, which is Alfred Dozier IV, he was one of the most monumental persons you'll find at UNT leadership. He's still part of the SGA, but he's the election commissioner right now. But he has an aura and an attitude that makes you want to work with people like that. You know, I think the people make the place.
Yes, I agree.
SGA would not have been as prominent as we are without the people. So he was one of the key people. Edward Cisse, another person. He was a previous senator. Now he's the director of campus life. He also had a really good way of talking to me, and you know, they hosted events which I attended, and I was like, I want to do this. You know, I want to be part of this. I want to leave an impact on students in any way possible. And that is something that I always look for in my life. Is I'm the kind of person who likes to make small local changes. Leaving an impact on a small community means a lot to me. And that kind of motivated me to move towards Senate. Senate was one of the main things that was open when I was joining. And Faith Falana, who was the previous senator of College of Science, also she was like, you should do it. You know, they kind of pushed me into it. I didn't expect much of it. And I was like, okay, it's going to be whatever. Maybe a title on my resume. Let's move on. And that's how I joined. But then I realized, you know what? This is actually a meaningful place where people are doing stuff that really impacts students.
I love to hear that. I know, especially during my undergrad, I was involved in something that's equivalent to something with UPC, where it's like overlooking and being a director of like campus organizations and whatever, and campus activities. And it's interesting considering, you know, you are going pre-med, you're like, you know what you want to do. When I was an undergrad, I thought I knew what I was going to do. And then getting involved on campus and everything, I saw that my passion was more towards higher education. So that does happen a lot whenever people who are like super involved, they're like, maybe I want to go a different route. Moving on. So what exactly are your responsibility as the Chief of Staff for SGA?
Yeah, that is the core. That's one of the core questions. I would say I would be the primary line of contact for SGA. Any conversation they have with SGA comes through me, and I'll be the last contact that they will have.
Okay.
So I play a very key role in that. My role, I would put it in a blunt way, is I'm a very background role. I don't have like, you know, the visibility that president and vice president get. I don't get that. I'm a very behind the curtains person.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of work going on that people don't notice. They're like, oh, you know, I'm emails. Which student is worrying about emails? Who's reading emails, et cetera, et cetera. I have 4 inboxes to work with.
I can barely manage one.
Yeah. So there's like a lot of stuff that people don't notice about the role, but it is some of the things I could say is like I have to manage the responsibility for other staff. We have 7 people working with us, so I have to work with, they're all the directors of different departments, and I have to work with all their stuff. You know, if they have any events, they have any initiatives, I'm the one who's doing all the bookings for the rooms, the food delivery, how many people we're hosting, are they all comfortable, are they all getting what they need, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I usually host events along with the VP and president, but if there's any event that is related to one of the directors, I work with them directly, and then posting and just a mammoth of work. And you know, it can be very simple, like ordering food. Or it can be something like ordering graduation course, because we give SGA graduation course. Or it can be something simple as, you know, reserving vehicles to, you know, buying Kleenex for the office. Everything goes through me. I'm responsible for the office space that we have. Yes, I'll most of that. And it's more like a backbone to the group. And I manage everybody's schedule. I sign off their timesheets. I'm basically paying them. And then the biggest part of this role is the budget. We are given, the SGA is given $104,000. So I have to manage all that money.
Yes, that is intimidating.
That is very intimidating. I think 64,000 of it goes towards our wages, and the rest is around 40,000, 42,000 if I'm not wrong. And that goes to all our events, activities, supplies, whatever else we need. And it is a lot of work. And especially
Yes.
as somebody who's not from accounting or who's not from any business major, that kind of is very unique to me. I've never done budgeting before, but I know how to use Excel because I did well in stats. But yes, so that's all. That's the biggest core of the chief of staff.
That's one of the great things about having a role like that, where there's a lot of like logistics involved,
Mm-hmm.
is you're getting a bunch of skills necessarily you weren't expecting getting
Yes.
into it. I was the graduate assistant for UPC here, and their budget is almost $500,000.
Oh my God.
Which is so intimidating because, of course, that includes wages and all the other stuff. So I came from a small university of 6,000 people, and then I came to UNT with over 40,000 people. And so that was intimidating. It was quite a learning curve, but it really did help me as I, post-graduation, as I went forward.
I want to do medicine, but at the same time, I actually want to do my master's in business as well, so that I can become more of an executive part of the hospital.
Okay.
I like doing on-field work, but I imagine especially after this position, I have reflected my choices, and I'm like, oh my God, I actually like being like an executive of a company or of some sort. I like the corporate side of it. I think facilitating the on-field experience is the task of the executive branch. So I think I'll do that. Yes, I'll take that. I'll take that.
It's always nice whenever we get involved with something, and then it's so interesting because when you look back at it, you can see the exact moment in time when you're like, I was on this path and then I switched because of one single thing, because of one organization. It can be so interesting because I still look back at mine when I decided to go into higher education. I was like, light bulb.
I know.
What are some of your favorite experiences, initiatives that you've had or that you've been a part of since you've been in your role?
Yeah, I would say I'm fairly new to my role, so I'll be very honest. We haven't done a lot of events, but this week has especially been busy. 2 days ago, we had our very first big events, I would say. I wouldn't Big event. Yeah, let's go with that. It was called the Road Trip to Registration. You might have heard of it. Yes. So we were part of that event as well. We were hosting many of students from different places in that space. We were giving free hot chocolate. We had a little spinny wheel thing, so they could spin and they can get a gift from one of our SGA. We had water bottles giveaway, et cetera, et cetera. It was very exciting. I was part of the entire planning. I was part of the entire people who they wanted us to show up. So, for example, they wanted volunteers. I was in charge of that. They wanted, here's your space, decorate it. I'm in charge of that. Here's your hot chocolate area. Do whatever you want. I'm in charge of that. So there's a lot of things that involved in the planning and the communications back and forth, et cetera, et cetera. So that was one big event, which was amazing. It went really good. It was only for 2 hours, funnily enough. It flew so fast, too. And I was like, oh, that's it.
I'm sure, especially as you're overlooking it.
Yes. So that was that. And after that, we had our Fallen Eagles Memorial. That was a very important event to us. It was a memorial for all the students who have passed away being part of UNT. There were a lot of family and friends, and me and the VP were the hosts there. So we spoke to everyone. Everybody had many different things they wanted to talk about, and they had their own experiences they had to share. So that was a very warm moment of the job as well. And we're actually doing this new initiative. We are collaborating with the Veteran Services. We will be sponsoring a small amount of budget to buy graduation courts for them. Apparently their budget was cut down. So we were like, we would want to help, Veterans, they've done so much for us, and having a graduation court, that is a moment of pride, and they should have it. So we said we would be down for that. So there are a few things that we're still working on. We are working to push our social media a lot right now. We're really not that active last semester, so we're trying to boost that. We went to the Student Health and Wellness Center at Chestnut Hall. Chestnut Hall, right? Yes. So we went there and we took a video of we were shooting a video on how STD testing works at the clinic, and how it's like we have discount days at the clinic where you can get a test by $35. That's the save. Usually it's 60 something. So it's so that, and we wanted to promote their services. They have condoms, lubricants, et cetera, et cetera. We wanted to promote those as well because Valentine's Day is coming up soon. So we wanted people to be aware of these services. So we did that, and we're also working on how good of a thing it is about consent, acknowledging consent. We wanted to show that it's important, and that's the reason we're collaborating with them, and we are hoping we'll have more events with them. Those are the basic few, I would say, that we started now. We're expecting for more.
It's so interesting, you know, people have heard of the Student Government Association. They know they do stuff on campus, but a lot of them don't realize how much they do and how much what they do, it greatly impacts a large part of the population. And you guys are not only being able to provide, you know, the manpower and everything into it, but you're also just raising awareness is the biggest thing. So, you know, you guys are SGA, y'all are the top dogs on campus. And so it's really nice being able to see, you know, students actively engaging and wanting to do more for their campus.
Yeah, we take pride in that. That is something that I always like, is I'm able to make some impact. And it doesn't have to be to every student, but even if one single student is motivated by any things that we did, that's enough.
So going on to our next one, what sort of challenges have you encountered as a student leader, and how do you think they may have prepared you for, you know, your future post-graduation?
One of the things I have to say is having me time. That is very important. When you're in a full-time job that disguises as a part-time, you do not have time for yourself. So I had to differentiate that as well. There have been days where I had to work on homework and assignments at 11 p.m. before they're due at 11:49. So I do not want to repeat that. So we're going to work on that a lot. Having a me time, having time to study is very important. And that is important for even all other student leaders, because we have to realize that we are students first and then leaders. Always remember that, people. Please remember that. Don't neglect the university part of it. I know engagement sounds exciting, but it takes a lot away from you, and you don't want it to take away too much.
Next up, what do you think makes a great student leader?
That's a very good question. I think someone who can form a genuine connection with people. Not only in a career-wise, we're not networking. We're making a connection. That is very important. One of the reasons I was promoted from a Secretary of Senate to such a big role, all of a sudden from the legislative branch to executive branch, was that I have very good connections. When I say connections, it's not like I know people, but I know them personally. You know, I know the VP personally. I know what he does and what he's studying, and, like, you know, his family, and I know the other people's families, what they do. I think those will impact the way you form a connection with people. The connection that me and my staff have now is very strong. They will trust me with anything. And that is something that I've formed on a long time. And you should be, as student leaders, should always be able to evolve under certain situations. All the time. Evolve as people have expectations with you. You know, our advisor, Krista Coffey, she has expectations for us, and we have to follow them. And I think reciprocating this in the same way will help you to be a great leader. A great leader is somebody who can always evolve. Yep.
That's great. I mean, going back on what you kind of talked about with having a really strong connection with the people you work with, I mean, we saw that whenever you were talking about the former president, how, you know, his leadership was what motivated you to want to continue on in this role. And I'm sure what you're doing right now as Chief of Staff is you're impacting other students who are looking up to you and thinking, maybe I can do that one day.
Yes, that's something that I take a lot of pride in. That, you know, if I can inspire, I think I told a second ago as well, I was like, as long as I inspire at least a single person, that'll be my life's mission. A lot of internal meditations as well, you know, about who I am, what am I representing. You have to use SGA as a tool to help and to be helped. Yeah.
So we kind of talked about it a little bit, but how has this role helped you grow professionally, and what are some things that you think you could take as you go, you know, forward and become a full-time?
I would say, funnily enough, though, one of the biggest things I learned really quick in this role was that you have to type emails.
Yes.
To a lot of people. I, as a student, I never did that. With students, you wouldn't expect students to write emails.
No.
I, on average, on a daily basis, I at least write 20 emails to 20 different people. or I'm corresponding somebody else's email. Sometimes I'm CC'd in a random conversation. I'm like, what am I doing here? So communication was something that I found very interesting in this role. Communicating with people through emails or through usual words is something that I learned that I have to be very flexible with. It will stretch you. It will stretch your public speaking skills very much. So yeah, one day you'll be speaking to a student senator. The next day you're talking to the provost, the VP, or somebody, faculty, and that comes to your best friend comes to the office, and you have to come back to your best friend self. Like, hey girl, how you doing? So communicating, and of course there's the thing of taking a break once in a while and taking a breath, internal meditations, and thinking about how you are you doing this just because you're doing this, or how is it impacting people all the time. That's literally the only thing I worry about day in, day out. How am I impacting somebody else? Whatever I'm doing right now, if I'm writing this email, is it really worth to do this? Is it really worth writing an email? It's the smallest details, but they impact every single person.
Oh yeah. Especially in a role like yours where you impact a lot of different areas. It's as stressful as it is, it's the little things you kind of have to think about going forward.
Fallen eagles, who would have... Nobody usually knows about stuff like that. It's like very in the background things that happen that we don't physically show a lot, but they have a big impact. Yeah.
Where can students go to start exploring some different leadership opportunities, or if they're interested in joining SGA?
I would say the Center for Leadership. It's an office in the Union, 3rd floor. Pull up anytime, anybody. You will find tons of opportunities. They have very interesting committees. They have very interesting leadership development, mentors, many different opportunities. I cannot even start, but that place usually is where all the leadership activities start from. SGA was also kind of related to them as well. We're part of the DSA. So student activities, basically. So they have many leadership opportunities. And then there's OrgSync. People know about OrgSync. Go to that page, search up, find your interests, search up for any one of our organizations, go to the meetings, show up, and you'll find some opportunity. That's how simple it is. It is not super hard. Always go to UNT events. You will find the most randomest person. You might connect with them, and then you will find an opportunity through them. That is how most of my opportunities came. I found SGA. It was so funny that one person tried to convince me. I didn't like it. 3 people convinced me in total. I was like, you know what? Maybe this is meant for me.
Maybe I should.
Maybe I should. You know what? I'm going to take it. And the advocacy that they do as well is also something that inspired me. It's not only the people, but we do a lot of advocacy for people, for individuals across UNT. We are support the LGBTQ rights. We are also with disability committees that we have on campus. They help change the perspective that we have about UNT. So there's a lot of advocacy going on. So if something that's something that people are interested, please come to our office. Our office is Union 344. I'll be there, front desk. You will see me, probably not in a suit, but probably in a t-shirt. I'll be there typing emails. So please pull up. We will be there. Any help, Senate, Student Senate is one of the biggest open opportunity for students. We need a total of 45 senators, but right now we have less than 20. So there's a lot of opportunities there. You're representing a whole college, and that's a great position. I used to go and meet with the deans of College of Science and the assistant dean all the time. We used to discuss about how we wanted new chairs, how we're gonna make research more accessible. We always have open research seats. Nobody knows that. One of my missions was to publicize that and make sure that we have more people wanting to know about this thing. And I think I've succeeded fairly enough. And so I was pushed into a better position as Chief of Staff. So I'm hoping that people can come to SGA. It's always an open position for leadership. And there's OrgSync. So if you don't want to do advocacy, please search something else. They have pottery clubs. They have soldering clubs. They have horseback riding clubs. Amazing. This is UNT. We're always open for leadership.
Oh yeah, always have good opportunities.
Always. 450 clubs, 450 organizations.
Yeah, 450. You have an option. And you can also create your own.
Yep, create your own, yes.
Well, thank you so much. How can people reach out to you or reach out to SGA?
SGA, the easiest way is to reach me. I usually answer all the emails, so you can either email to sgacos@unt.edu. That's my email. Message me any opportunity that y'all want to talk about. I'll be the first contact. Or you can follow our Instagram, where we'll post any new opportunities that come up, any committee opening positions. Right now, we're searching for marketers for our marketing department. So we'll post about that as well. UNT SGA, that'll be our Instagram handle. So please check out our Instagram, check out our website. We have a whole website with full of resources, all the applications that you can fill. We also have a link tree that's linked within the Instagram, so you don't have to go through all the Google website, whatever not. So just pull up the link tree on the UNT SGA Instagram, and you'll see all the opportunities, people. We always update it, so I'm in charge for that too.
We have the resources.
We have the resources, please, all the time.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Absolutely check out SGA, see what they're doing over there, see all the amazing events they're putting on. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.